Hey, hello. So there is a new set of speakers in the Sonos family, and it's the Era. So we've got the Era 100 and the Era 300. I did read some comments, people ask questions, people look happy with that new Sonos Era 300 especially, and I can't say that I'm this excited. Well, about the 300. Well, with those two speakers there is some great things and some less great things. I just want to talk at first about the Dolby Atmos because that's what people are super pumped about, the 300. The 100 is not Dolby Atmos and the 300 is. And my thing with the Dolby Atmos is that it's something that I never understood. Well, I understand that Dolby Atmos is that thing that send audio in all the room and give you the illusion that there is sound all around your head. If you're listening something that is Dolby Atmos, so you need to listen to music that is Dolby Atmos, or that you listen a movie that is Dolby Atmos, otherwise you don't have this kind of effect. Well, this, I understand that, but I don't understand the thrill of it. The thing is, if you want to have sound all around your head, there is one simple solution to it, and it's to put more speaker in your room. I'll come back on this, but in my head, the most important thing is to have a great quality of speaker. And a great speaker gives you better audio than a less great speaker with Dolby Atmos. That's in my experience. So please stop going crazy on a speaker just because it says Dolby Atmos on it. Okay, I'll come back on this later. I have my checklist over here. You don't see it, but I have my checklist here of the stuff that I did realize by testing it that I liked and don't like. The first point that I realized that I really don't like is that they remove the Sonos Net. And that kind of worries me about the future of Sonos. The Sonos Net is, if I take that Sonos One, for example, there is an Ethernet connector at the back. By the way, none of these new speakers have a Ethernet port at the back. And when you connect a cable into that Ethernet connector, well, it disconnects that speaker from the Wi-Fi, which is a great thing because cable is always better than wireless, and it creates the Sonos Net. The Sonos Net is a bit like the Wi-Fi because it works on the same frequency, 2.4 gigahertz, but it doesn't work like Wi-Fi. It creates a mesh system. So when you connect that cable, the Sonos Net welcome all the other Sonos speaker in your house to connect on it. And if you have a speaker that is very far away, this speaker will connect on a closer speaker that will connect to this one. So this gives you a super great coverage for all your house. And I did install Sonos speakers for many years, and I always realized that a Sonos system works better when you connect one of your speaker with a cable. And that's what I told to my sales team all the time. Please, when you sell a Sonos speaker, make sure that at least one will be connected. If it's not possible, there's a device that is called the Boost, and you can connect that one in a specific room where it's easy to do, and you got a Sonos Net. Every time that I had a problem with a Sonos system, I did connect one speaker or a Sonos Boost and it solved my problem. But now those two new speakers are not compatible with Sonos Net. So you absolutely need to connect it on the Wi-Fi. And I think it's a terrible idea. Okay, I do not install Sonos systems since 3 years now, but my Sonos system works very well at home. It's not out of glitch. Sometime it cut. I might have a problem once a month that solves itself really quickly. But since I had those 4 speakers on my network, well, I have a lot more trouble. Hard time to start my music back, some cut. And when I want to start my music, it just doesn't start. It's weird. And then I go to my group, I remove those 4 speakers, and oh, now suddenly it starts, and now I can group them back, and it works. I did got that kind of issues. And if Sonos was like the experience I had in the last few days with those new speakers, I would not have Sonos at home. Today was okay, but really I have some glitches, and I'm pretty sure it's because I have 4 new speakers on the Wi-Fi. And I like to let my Wi-Fi freeze for other stuff, because those guys are connected on my Wi-Fi all day long, and I just want to leave place for other things. The next one is that they remove, well, that Ethernet port, and for some speakers of that size, usually in the world of Sonos, there is a 3.5mm cable at the back to connect an external device. Well, it's not there anymore. They replaced that for that USB-C connection. At least it's a USB-C connection. And they did it to replace it by a dongle. So now you can buy separately a dongle for 3.5mm, a dongle for Ethernet connection, or a dongle that have both. You have a link in the description if you want to see the price of them or to order one. But yeah, that's the thing. But I told myself, well, maybe that's a good thing, because if there's a USB connection here, there is one thing that I always wanted to do with Sonos, and it's to connect my computer on which I work on the Sonos system so I can use Sonos as computer speaker. And it's not possible. I did connect it over USB-C to USB-C, and the computer just doesn't see anything. So that's not possible. It's just the idea to have more dongles. And then I thought to something. There's something great that is new on those speakers that was only available to portable speakers before, and it's the Bluetooth connection. This is the Sonos Move. It have a Bluetooth connection. There's also the Sonos Roam that have that Bluetooth connection. And now, that's something that a lot of people ask, to have Bluetooth on their home's Sonos speaker devices. It's now possible. And I tell myself, yeah, if I connect that computer over Bluetooth, it will work. And, well, my first experience was not good. I did connect it very easily, and I got audio. I had a little issue, so I tried to disconnect it and reconnect it, and it took 5 minutes to reconnect it. That was not good. So at this point, I decided it will not be my computer speaker, because when I work, the last thing I want is to troubleshoot something. I just want to work. But the other thing is that there is that small delay of a quarter second about. And well, if you're listening to music, you don't care about that. If you watch something like a YouTube video or something, yeah, well, that's not so good. But you might end up to forget it, but it's there. But when you do video editing, it's no. That's a no-go. So it will not be my computer speaker. But there's something really great about the Bluetooth connection, and that's a first. Because if we go back to that Sonos Move, when you want to connect something over Bluetooth on it, you press on the button at the back, and it disconnects the speaker from the Sonos network to go over Bluetooth. So you can only play on this speaker. Now, with the Era family, when you play something over Bluetooth on one speaker, you can share it to all other speakers. So if you buy a Era 100 or 300, all of your Sonos speakers at home will now be able to play Bluetooth from that device. So that is a super great something for a lot of people. There's another point that I did not like, but all Sonos speakers are the same, is that I think the lowest volume is too high. The thing is, when I'm working at my desk, I just want to have ambience music at a very low volume, and the lowest volume is just too high. I can't focus on my thing. The volume is too high, so I end up to just shut down the speaker. There is one other thing that I did not like, and it was only from that speaker, not that one, just that one, is that sometimes it does some fart. I mean, doesn't stop, it just fart. It's around at 5% of the volume. Probably a lot of people would not realize it, but I did. That was not great. And it was only when I use it as a stereo pair. I did not hear it as a standalone speaker. But that was happening, I would say, around every 5 minutes. That's not good. There is a new humidity resistance, that's great. So if you want to set that into your bathroom, well, that's great. I don't know what was the humidity resistance on the oldest speakers, but well, that's a great thing. There is one thing that bugged me a little with that new Era 300. Maybe I should not make a case of it, but those holes on the top. I mean, there is a hole in all of Sonos speakers. See, there's hole all around, and that makes sense. The sound have to go out somewhere. It's the same thing on the 100, but hole on top? Will the dust will get inside? I'm not sure. Well, Sonos Arc is the same. That doesn't seem to be a problem, but yeah, just ask myself if it's a good idea. They also removed the sync button at the back. The sync button was that infinity button at the back of every speakers, but that's now unnecessary because you don't need it anymore to sync your speaker. The speaker does play a chiming sound, and you just bring your phone next to it and it recognizes it, and that's it. Okay, now I've been asked to test those speakers as surround. So, well, again, I'm not a guy who is super pumped about surround, but, well, I tested it. So, with the Sonos Era 100, what I have as front speakers in my cinema is a Paradigm Premier 800F, which is super great speakers that are connected on a Sonos amp, and I really love it. So I connected those speakers as surround, and well, I did listen to one TV show, and I barely noticed it. At some point there was a gun scene where I did hear some gunshot on the left, 3 or 4 times. I just asked myself, whoa, what is this? Because the speaker doesn't do any sound of all the TV show. Of course, there is some show or film that are better for this. Maybe I did not pick the right one, but that's kind of the experience I had every time I put speakers at the back. It's just that you don't hear it, and at some point, whoa, there's something, and what is this? And it just distracts me from the movie. So I'm not super pumped about it, but that was my experience. It does pretty much nothing for me. And, well, that's a very huge flaw for the Sonos Era 300. Well, I did try to use them as surround, and that was not possible because I use a Sonos amp. The thing is that the Sonos amp is not Dolby Atmos. So you need to have a Sonos bar that is compatible with Sonos Atmos if you want to use the Sonos Era 300 as surround. So I could have tested with my Sonos Arc, that is just a music speaker that I use in my office. But I don't see the point of downgrading my super great speakers that I have in front to have Dolby Atmos at the back. Because if there's one thing that is sure, is that even if my front speakers are not Dolby Atmos, they play so much better than the Sonos Arc. The Sonos Arc is a super great bar, but it's nothing to compare to the big speakers I have in front. Seriously, since I use them, they are super great for listening to music, but for listening to TV, the voices and all the sound of those speakers, even if they are not Dolby Atmos, is so much better. So that's what I told you. I don't understand the thrill of Dolby Atmos. Great speaker without Dolby Atmos is way better than less great speaker with Dolby Atmos. But yeah, that's kind of weird. They could have just deactivated Dolby Atmos on those speakers to let me use it as surround. That's a bit weird. But if there is one great thing about that speaker, is that if you set it in the middle of a room, you will have audio everywhere. So that's a real great thing. And let's just compare with one other speaker. The Sonos 5, which is one of my favorite Sonos speaker. So if you set the Sonos 5 in the middle of a room, if you go behind it, well, yes, you will hear it, but not as great as this one. This one just shoots audio everywhere. Well, there are speakers on front, there are speakers on top, there are speakers on the side, so it just makes sense that, well, you can hear that speaker from everywhere. But if you place that speaker in a corner of a room and that speaker just next to it, you will have a way greater experience with the Sonos 5. And if you want something even better, well, just put 2 Sonos 5 in your room. That will be better than 1 Sonos Era 300 or 2 Sonos Era 300. But yes, it's not the same price point. I understand that, but I'm convinced that it's worth the extra money. Now, let's do another comparison. Because I'm not sure if it was a great idea to compare the Sonos 5 with the 300. They are not really the same speaker, but they are what are the closest from each other. The other one that I want to compare is the Era 100 with the Sonos One. The Sonos One is a speaker that I love because it's cheap and you can just put some everywhere in your house and you have music floating everywhere, and I think it's very, very great. Now the Era 100 is just a little bit more expensive and it plays so much better. There's a huge difference between the Sonos One and the Era 100. I will not tell the price because it varies from a country to another and over the time, but you can visit the link in the description if you want to see the price or to order the speaker. And if you use those links, well, thank you, because I made a commission out of it. But yes, it really play way much better. I would like to keep it and to sell that one, but my only problem is that there's no Sonos Net, there is no Google Home. Well, that's my only 2 cons, because it plays way much better. And you have Bluetooth if it's something that you care about. But yeah, I don't know what I will do. But I really like, people are super pumped about the new Era 300, but I really like more the 100. So if you ask yourself, should you buy a 100 or a 300? Well, if you have the budget for a 300, I would not buy the 300 and buy two 100. It's a little bit more expensive, not that much. It's a little bit more expensive, but those two speakers together will play way better than the 300, because with that you will really have sound at different place in your room. Or you can have music in more room. Of course, one speakers, if we just have those two speakers, the Era 300 play better than the 100. But with two 100, it plays better than a 300. And if you have multiple room, well, it's better to have two speakers playing at low volume in two room instead of one speaker playing very high in one room to be understandable from the other room. So the 300 is a speaker that I'm really not convinced about, but the new 100, well, I love it. Except for the part of the Sonos Net and the Google Home. Yeah, did I tell it? Google Home. Google Home is not compatible on those new speakers. It's probably not the fault of Sonos, but I know that Sonos and Google are not very friendly this time. They are in court since many years about, well, Google Home. But yeah, it's not there on those new speakers, so that's a big flaw for me because I use Google Home. So yeah, that's it. I hope this video was helpful and it will help you to make you an idea of your next Sonos device. Again, if you want to buy one of them, you can use the link in the description. If you have any question, please ask in the question below. We'll be super happy to answer you. I do answer to comment almost every day, but I do read all of the comment. So yeah, please ask, and I hope to see you soon. Hey, take care. See ya.